Hey there, hi there, ho there. This is your pal Drew Dracy, and I can support comics from my spinner rack and new ones that are going to find a home in my spinner rack. I sometimes rotate the stock because I have so many of the comics jammed in there that I'm like, well, you know. I like seeing different covers pop. It's a real dopamine hit. It's so great, you know. Comics are great. That's all I gotta say. Well, Legion of Superhero. I remember this is like a huge deal. I remember seeing this advertised in like all the DC comics, and I've seen it also. I've just seen it at shows, and it's when Superboy finally leaves the Legion of Superheroes and they get their own title and their comic of their own at last, and that was a big deal at the time. And well, let's get to it. So it is written by Jerry Conway, and Joe Staton and Dave Hunt are the artists. Let me tell you, Milt Snappin, I'm wondering if that's like a made-up name. I don't know. Jack Harris, editor, also a great. He created The Ray in 1991. Gene D'Angelo is a colorist. Joe Staton, he was everywhere at DC at this point. He did Metal Men. He did Green Lantern later. He did, I think, Star Hunters and just everything. So, and I love his stuff. And Dave Hunt was a new inker at this time. He did some work for Marvel. He was an assistant to Frank Giacoia and Mike Esposito, who had a studio together. And then Dave Hunt, he started off, I think, as a letterer and then a colorist, and then he became an incredible inker. I mean, I really loved his stuff. It just added a little more oomph to it, oomph. January 1980. Wow, this happened a lot later than I thought it did. But anyway, also JSA, all this stuff that. Anyway, wow, 1980. I don't know. That's wild. Psycho War. I love how the lettering is like a piece of debris. Debris. It's a lot to cover, but that's okay. It's Lightning Lad's. He's ill. This electron disruptor should remove him from his comatose state. Let him to slip into natural sleep. There, 2 hours, he'll be fine. So this is an aftermath from a battle. So bizarre. I had Stretch Armstrong, and then like a lot of kids, I got bored after a while, and then I would I would cut it open to see what was inside, and it was this gross pink stuff that was sticky, and I had to toss it away. So, but it had served its purpose. So background stuff. It's good. It's just that I don't want to get sidetracked. This is a Twinkies ad. It's not to be confused with like bleeding right over. This was fun. This is cool stuff. Joe Staton again was doing. He was doing Plastic Man, so he was everywhere, as I've said about 5 times already. So, okay. See? There you go. But I do remember this being a very big deal. Here's the thing. Hold on a second. The bad guy has an optic detonator designed to paralyze your optic nerves away by a neutral detonator paralyzes your fellow legionnaires' brains. You'll lose all sense of time, all sense of space, and that's the way you'll stay until I release you. I don't think Wildfire would fall for that. He's pure energy, and he's in a containment suit, and he doesn't have eyes in a traditional sense that we have eyes. So, just shrug that off. This costume was sort of like it was patterned after Deadshot, the one that was created by Marshall Rogers. Not here, not the land. Of all the places to land, why do I have to land here? The graveside of my foster parents. There's nothing you can do, son. You mustn't blame yourself. It's the first time I ever heard him say foster parents, because he always just called them parents. But, he's getting a case of the guilt. Because I'm just visiting this era. You were alive when I left the 20th century. You haven't died yet for me. I never wanted to learn how you were going to die because I've always known I can't change the past, and now I know, and there's nothing I can do to help you. I'm helpless. No. No, this is a trick. An attack on my mind. You know our weaknesses. The one thing which would, excuse me a second, hurt each of us on the deepest psychological level. Okay. Superboy says, I learned something that upset me last night. We know, Superboy. Tomac told doctors what he did. We're sorry. We've tried always to keep it from you, to spare you. No, this is something I have to deal with, Chameleon Boy. You guys my cam sometimes. The future has always been like a never land to me. It never seemed quite real, and now it is real, and I know the past matters. I can't ignore it because it hurts. I want to remember my parents' deaths whenever I come here, because it's real and it counts. But at least I won't remember it when I return to the past, and even that seems like a cheat. I guess I'll go. I got a lot to think a while. And you hear, did you do it, Imra? It was Saturn Girl or one of those girls. Hang in there. Yes, Garth. Awesome. He's right. He'll always remember his parents' deaths. Whenever he returns to our time, and perhaps he'll finally discover other events in his future. So I planted a telepathic, hypnotic suggestion commanding him to return to the 20th century and not to return for us, for his own sake. He will always be a Legionnaire. So look at those inks. Beautiful Dave Hunt inks. So now we go on to Ka-Zar. Or Ka-Zar. I say it wrong all the time, but to me it's like, potato and potato. Beautiful. Gil Kane cover. He inked himself on this. I always loved his signature. And for a while there, Doug Mensch is the writer. Jerry Conway did the plot. He had written some issues prior. Then Doug Mensch would take over the rest of the series with Val Mayerick, which is really impressive stuff. But I wanted to show off this John Buscema pencils inked by Fred Kida, who he had been around comics for a couple, like a decade or two or three. And it's weird to see him ink John Buscema. It's not a great match. Kind of flattens things out a little bit. And Kida was responsible for the greatest issue of What If ever, which was what if Doctor Doom had not become a villain, and he penciled that, and it was just stunning. And he also did a couple Captain America issues. So, but I have the same complaint with late Jack Abel. Jack Abel was a very good. I loved his stuff on the Hulk when he would ink Herb Trimpe. Wow, that was sharp. But later on his stuff got a little flat. So this is just a very, very odd combo here. That elephant's pretty impressive the way it's done. I like that a lot. Is that? Oh, what they did there. Hold on. Looks kind of like the colors for somebody. Boy, that turned out nice. So you can sort of see the John Buscema under it, because of the stances and the cheekbones of the hero and that kind of stuff. And this is kind of a dead panel here. I wish Fred Kida could have done more with it, with shading and light sourcing. That's great stuff. Like this, and I think John Buscema would have inked himself better. This is coming from a guy who's an inker all his life, and can't stand that a lot of pencilers decided to become inkers as well, because between that computer coloring, kind of shut us out. It's like inking's just not in demand anymore. A nice long letter from Ralph Macchio, not the Karate Kid, but the soon-to-be editor and writer for Marvel Comics. There we got the Marvel value stamp with the leaping lizards. So, yeah. See, this is okay. It's just a real bad combination. It happens sometimes. Yeah, that's pretty dead right there. So, here we go with that. To cleanse my palate, I have this issue of Daredevil, written by regular writer Anna Senti and illustrated beautifully by Rick Leonardi, penciler, and Al Williamson, the classic Al Williamson from EC Comics, who was just doing inking at this stage of his life. He was doing John Romita and some others, and he even did this guest art. Rick, I love that splash page. Man, that is so... It just looks like Art Deco. Not Art Deco. It just has a very artistic flair to it, and I can't quite say. Well, there's this woman, starts off with this woman going on and on and on about her husband. She's unhappy. And meanwhile, the therapist is he's distracted because he hears a lot of the same stuff. And he's like, I noticed my words seem to upset her. Okay, let me start over. He's thinking about his wife. She's been talking about getting a job at the art gallery, but when I mentioned it at breakfast, I think she made it clear that her case is far too vulnerable right now for her to be getting a job. So his wife is also a patient, which is kind of not, I don't know if that's kosher as far as, the profession allows. But I noticed my words seemed to upset her. And so the other woman's going, blah, 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 blah. Could my words have triggered an incident? Miss, can I help you? So this woman's at his wife. She goes, parasites. I see it now. You use it to feed off art, ruin art, glorify art, commercialize, criticize, destroy art. Please, ma'am. Somewhere something was left out. The artist. Look at that last panel. Oh, so she takes off. And so this guy's going on. Am I missing something, an incident right now? It's so important that I record these episodes. And he's talking about his wife. Vivian is not an ordinary psychosis. Lately I've been noticing the meanings behind her hallucinations. So he goes on and on. Man, look at that. Beautiful expressions. Oh. And that there, man, that's got nice Howard Chaykin energy to it right there. We have the main figure, that pose. So she goes to a antiques store to find her husband the perfect gift. Of course, I'll crown him my prince. And she looks at this one and says, oh, it's a lovely pottery fragment, but oh, the ritual sacrifice? Daniel, it's Daniel and me. Her husband's Daniel, the one who's thinking to himself. And here comes Matt Murdock, and he almost crashes into her. Now, here's the thing. Color's screwed up big time, because it should, well, let me see. The hair's long with this gal. Yeah, the thing is, there is the bow that she was wearing, too. So it makes it look like somebody else is coming out, but they crashed into each other. And she says, you're blind, but you're glowing. Oh, blind man, please help me. And he's not glowing. She has, she has these things she sees. She's been damaged. A lot of it by her husband, who's been using her as an experiment. Look at those eyelids. Man, it's hard to do convincing eyelids for something like that. I always want to meet him sometime at a show, but I don't know if he does a lot of shows. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, here he is. He's being rude. It's like, wait till you taste Vivian's cooking. delicious. That is, unless she hasn't been hallucinating and used laundry powder for flour or something. Ha 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 ha. He talks about her as if she's not in the room. So he's just a real dick. And she's cringing. What does she see? And her hallucination is that she's chained. And she is pretty much, it's pretty much a allegory for what he's doing. And he says, her insanity is much worse now because we're looking into it, taping it, recording it, analyzing it. But the pain now will be rewarded later. At least at the end of the process, I see a cure. You see, her disease is unique, a textbook prize. How about that face? Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. Wow. I mean, that looks like something you put in a museum. It's the most crucial point of treatment that she must stay at home. And she's thinking of herself being chained again. And they don't know why her arms are down. And that's a nice pose there. But he's just a total monster. He wants to write a book and have he use her as his subject, you know. And red wine with fish, dear? What is in your head? Oh, I'll be right back. Vivian, you're all right? Oh, of course so. He's so nice and gentle. What's with the horns? So she can actually sort of make out. I don't know how, but it's okay. It don't matter. Man, that pose is awesome. Of course he's blind. Oh, darling, how rude. Of course he's blind. Sorry about that, Matt. So he shows this TV recording of her, and she goes, Daniel, I don't think this is an appropriate time to show a tape of. Yes, please, I'd rather not. So it goes on and on and on about how screwed up she is. But meanwhile, she was probably a little fragile when they met, and he poisoned her mind by, wearing her down with his, telling her all these things that she's not really done. It's like, to my wife, my love, my muse. Why so sad, darling? You just wait. Once I cure you and the paper comes out, you will be so proud of me. This will make me famous in paper. Yes, my husband is writing a paper about my case. Look at those eyes. Oh, I almost forgot your Christmas Eve present. I love her hair. And it's a shrunken head. Ooh. I could go on and on, but I don't want to spoil the whole book for you. So Matt leaves. He's like disgusted. He's chasing after her. Look at the negative space on her. I love that. So, beautiful, beautiful art. And she almost got hit by a car. And this a-hole, why did it get so complicated? Get away from it. Don't look at it. Listen, Daniel, I've been watching you. You needle her, you say things to disturb her. It's subtle, but I think you encourage her disease. She's like, oh, God, I suspected as much, but I couldn't handle it. I'm so torn. Her case, it's so fascinating. It can make me famous. I'm so torn. He's like, you can't have both. You can continue to pursue your wife as a case. You will lose her as a wife. This is not my business. I'm a stranger, but sometimes strangers see things at blindness of those past the blindness of those involved. So the future is yours is hers. You know what to do now. And he burns all his notes. And he apologizes. I still think it would be better if he left. Because, I don't know. If you're going to be that kind of guy, I don't think you shake that off right away. You got to have that. So we go from the great to horrible. Not the art. I love the art. So it has Steele, who is a World War II hero who had 5 issues of his own book. And right before it was with the DC explosion, right before the implosion. And it was, I think, Jerry Conway and Don Heck did it. It was kind of a cool character. I liked the design. And, sort of a Captain America kind of, the patriotic type costume that many characters, but he was created in the late 70s. So retroactively, he was around when the JSA was around. So his grandson, Steele, who joins the new Justice League of America, that's the one where they kicked all the main characters left except for let me think. Elongated Man, not a main character, but Aquaman was the leader, and then Martian Manhunter stayed, and then the rest were others. And here we go. What year is this? Whoa. Okay. This is 1985. Okay, this is right before the team disbands. And guess what? Mike Backlund, great anchor, and it's written by Jerry Conway and Joe Staten again. He's the man. I met him once. I had him sign my Green Lantern Corps, not the ones that I worked on in the 2000s. I'm talking about the original ones from like 1986 or 88. But the story, the art is good, but the story is very awkward. And I wish I could explain how. It's just that, and I was actually looking forward to reading this, but it turns out the grandfather is just a lunatic. And there's no real explanation why. So you have Infinity Incorporated, and they're the children of the JSA. So it's a whole bunch of characters. And this is just weird. Let me see. He calls himself Commander Steel. You see, mechanic children today have no spine. My generation was tested in battle, forged in the furnaces of war. War made us strong. It gave us a chance to stare death in the eye and face our deepest fears, overcome human weaknesses. Hank's father should have learned that in the Nam, but he was not good enough. He was weak and loved life, and in war the punishment for loving life is merciless death. Now, come on, that's backwards thinking there. I wanted my grandson to be strong, and as I was strong, so why? That's why I arranged the operation that could change him. It's like, jeez. And he goes to teach him to be strong, to love life, not to love life too dearly. So it's an absurd premise. It's just absurd. So JSA show up. This character mechanic holds him back. It's just it's just a silly premise. You know, I know tons of war veterans in my family, and they generally appreciate life having gone through the rigors and the hell of war. So, you know, this seems very contrived. And Jerry Conway, he could be really great or he could be really awful. He's a very interesting writer that way. Like when he took over Spider-Man from Stan Lee, it was great stuff. So, I hate that fucking costume. So ugly. So, her. Whoop, hang on there. Whatever it is we face it together, all of us, friends and enemies alike. It will change us, perhaps destroy us, but we cannot escape it any more than we can escape ourselves. So, grandson had to take out his grandfather, and that's neat there, but it's just the premise is just flimsy, in my opinion. Where monsters dwell. I've been really getting into this lately. I have a cutoff point with Marvel. There are a lot of fantastic Marvel books out there as far as art, and same with DC, but I'm a pen and ink guy, and when I see just outlines and I'll just see like brilliant colors or, even there's a lot of cool colors, I feel I just don't relate to it since I've been in the industry for 30 years, and I know that's small-minded of me, but anyway, that's the whole thing. So, or monsters will. So I've been buying these lately, the monster books. There's like 15 of them, like Dead of Night, all this stuff. Crawl, the Inhuman. Rare monster cover by John Severin. Man. He's usually doing westerns or war books and stuff like that. When Severin would do Sergeant Fury, he would correct the guns that were being used because he knew, he knew guns. So this is 1972. Crawl, the Inhuman. Crawl. Excuse me a second. This has a slight spine curl to it, so. I can't believe Arnold Schwarzenegger was around 1972 already. I thought he was like much later. So, where's the pound crawl? He's got a stick in his craw. So he's going to take over the world. I just love that he's got his diaper on. And so what happens is this guy, he says, so intruder, you wish to know my story. Your wish has been granted. I'll prepare for your doom. No, wait, I understand more than you think. I know what's causing your fantastic growth. It wasn't the explosion. It's radiation from the explosion. And radiation burns. Even now you must be in pain from the burning. So he hands him this ointment. Why would you do this to me? Am I not your enemy? You are a human being who is in pain. When the pain is gone, we shall be enemies no longer. Is the ointment working? Ah, yes. I don't feel the pain so much now. So along comes this monstrous snake. And unfortunately, Craw dies. And this is from, oh, check this out. It's Don Perlin from the 50s. When Don Perlin, he went to Marvel in the 70s. I mean, this is Atlas. It was pre-Marvel. And I don't know what he did after that. Maybe he went into advertising because I haven't seen his name a lot. But in the 70s, he was very prolific. He started off as an inker on a lot of books. And he did a great job over George Tuska on Iron Man. And he did... everything he did was pretty sharp. And then he had drawn Werewolf by Night. And then he went to... later on, he went to the Defenders, around 1980 or so. And he did that for years and years. And then in 1992 or so, Valiant Comics, started by Jim Shooter, he got to do this character called Bloodsport. And... Bloodshot. And the book was red hot. Valiant still had a lot of cachet. There was no... the book market was... comic book market was expanding and getting bigger and bigger. And he would go to conventions, and he's like this old guy with white hair and a suit. And people were like kissing his ass, rightly so, because they loved his stuff on Bloodshot. But it's just amazing. I love that face right there, the middle one with the woman with the veil. So, but guess what? We have a new story written by B.B. Gold, who was, I think she was a secretary or she was assistant, and Rich Buckler, who pencil inks it. This looks kind of crude for Buckler, so I'm going to say this is some of his very early work. And because he really took off like around 1973 or so. He taught himself pretty quick. And Mimi Gold's doing a great job, but I don't know how long she was there. Alan Kupperberg had a story, the late Alan Kupperberg had a story that, he first showed up to DC offices, and he's like in his late teens, and he sees Mimi Gold, and he drew like a heart pumping out of his chest like Bugs Bunny or any of those Tex Avery cartoons. So you got a lot going on. And this is a thing a lot of new artists at the time did back then. It was like a lot of small panels because it's kind of a cheat, but you build on it. It's like your first job or your second or third are not going to be great. You get better and better and better, and you hit new plateaus. So, I mean, my early stuff was pretty weak, and the more I did, the better I got. So, there you go, everybody. Where Monsters Dwell. Justice League. Daredevil. Ka-Zar. And Legendary Legion of Superheroes issue. And I remember buying it shortly after that. The book really got... Superboy, it was a great idea to get rid of Superboy, just because. It's just... I don't know. I was more interested in the other characters. And especially because Superboy, since he's going to grow up to be Superman, there's no real sense of that it's important, I guess. I mean, you had Pharaoh Lad die like in the late 60s, and that was important. But, it was still cool, though. Anyway, if you like what I'm doing here, if you like any of these books, please tell me your personal opinions on it. And you can tell me I suck if you didn't like this issue. That's okay. I can handle it. I never delete comments ever, and I never say ever like that ever. But let me know what you think. What's your favorite stuff that you dig out of this, and the artist and all that. And please, if you haven't already, subscribe. And if you've subscribed, please hit the bell for notifications, or double check, because it's just a screwball algorithm thing where people are not getting notifications even though they've subscribed and got notifications. This went on a lot longer than I expected. I hope you don't mind. So comic books are great. Yay. And I'll tell you what, in school, I sucked. Except for English class. I would get A pluses because I read comic books voraciously. All right, everybody.